You are behaving like a big baby. Come on, you just got a raise. Go and buy your own place lah. Don't be a crybaby lah when it comes to getting a home loan. Nah.
Baby, stop drooling. Everyone watching you. Stop it. Calm down. See, you're so happy. We found out we're not overpaying for our dream home. Ayo, baby, I love you so much. Goody, goody, goo.
Oh, bro, you are babbling. I can't understand. I mean, don't stress. These are happy moments. It means you are growing up.
I know, raising a kid can be scary.
You just need to find a place near to good school, clinic, MRT, shopping mall, and your in-laws. That's all.
Hey, wait. You're frightening him. He's about to...
Thank you for tuning in to iProperty Development Excellence Award 2021.
I would like to thank iProperty. We are happy that iProperty recognized us.
感谢 iProperty 及各位评委。
We are very happy to receive this award from iProperty.
We are humbled to receive this prestigious award from iProperty.com.my.
Thank you, iProperty, for this very meaningful recognition.
Space for life's precious moments, in every note and nuance. It is in life's journey that defines my success. Wherever my heart takes me, I am drawn to discover new landscapes, acknowledging our past and present, to balance a perfect blend of east and west, to sustain and define new architecture. I travel beyond the borders of each country, inspired by the colours and the sounds of the city, in awe of that melody that binds us together, in the relationships that I seek. No matter how far I've come, nor far I will travel, home is where I come back to.
Hello everyone and welcome to iProperty Data Talks, your burning questions answered. This Facebook Live will air on iProperty's FB page. iProperty, the #1 property site in Malaysia, believes in assisting buyers in every step of their property journey. In this show, we will share property pricing trends of different locations in Malaysia with you and ask property developers some burning questions you buyers might have. So make sure to like and follow iProperty's Facebook page and select to receive notification from us so you won't miss any episode when we go live. Before that though, we have some awesome prizes for those of you who tune in live now. How to win the prizes? Our first question, which locations' property pricing trends will be discussed today? Is it 1. Cheras, 2. Wangsa Maju, 3. Petaling Jaya, or 4. Old Klang Road? If you've been paying attention, you should know what we're talking about. Our second question, which of the following property development will be discussed today? Is it 1. Quinn, 2. Leiden Green, 3. Park Esta, or 4. Margaretville? What is the name of this FB Live series? Is it 1. FB Live series, 2. iProperty Data series, 3. iProperty Facebook Live series, or 4. iProperty Data Talk Facebook Live series? And for those of you who have just tuned in, welcome to iProperty Data Talks, your burning questions answered. This is a Facebook Live series that will air on iProperty's Facebook page. So remember to like and follow iProperty Facebook page and select to receive notification from us so you won't miss any episode when we go live. If you are at the start of your property hunting where you have no clue on where to buy, or maybe you already know where to buy but not sure if you're paying too much, then this show is for you. In tonight's episode, we collaborated with MCL Land, a leading Singapore property developer that is wholly owned by Hong Kong Land, to talk about their Quinn at Wangsa Maju. But before that, we've invited Prem Padmanathan, General Manager of Customer Data Solutions from iProperty, to share property pricing trends of Wangsa Maju, where the project is located. Prem believes that everyone should have access to reliable, accurate and up-to-date transacted sub-sale property prices at their fingertips before making the biggest purchase of their lives. His team of data analysts specialize in compiling property transacted prices in Malaysia from the Valuation and Property Services Department, JPPH, under the Ministry of Finance. These property pricing trends can be conveniently found when you view a property listing on iProperty site. Let's hear from the man now. Prem, take it away.
Thank you, Freda, and a good day to everyone. Today I'm going to share some market trends and insights on Kuala Lumpur and the transactions and where people are actually buying, and we're going to do a little bit of zoom in into condominiums and into the location of Wangsa Maju, as the project is today. It's located in an area called Wangsa Maju. And all these insights are going to be based on transactions of sub-sale data. So please do bear in mind and keep that in point when you're making those decisions, because the data which we have today, which is pretty strong from the government, is transacted sub-sale data. And it's going to be based as of last 12 months, as of July 2020. So let's start off by looking at where are people buying in Klang Valley. So here you can see this is a screenshot from bricks.my, which shares all the transaction data in Malaysia today. And here you see all the sub-sale transactions in the area of Klang Valley. So if you look at this, you've got all these big boys like Cheras, and Ampang and Mont Kiara, they're all in there, with Cheras leading the pack at about nearly 430 transactions, while papers like Mont Kiara has got about 216 of those transactions. Now if you move towards the west, you can also see places like Shah Alam and Klang, also very big numbers when it comes to sub-sale transactions. And moving up right up to the west, even Kappa is doing pretty well at about 201 transactions. So the focus for today is Wangsa Maju. So Wangsa Maju sits at about, if you can see from there, it's about 174 transactions, not too big. not too small, and we all know it as the KL North, as some people like to speak through Wangsa Maju, and it's right at the edge of where KL is today, or Selangor is today, before we move on towards the Banjaran Titi Wangsa. So this just gives you a rough idea where are people actually buying. Now if we focus into just Kuala Lumpur and the total transactions in the last 12 months as of July 2020, the total transactions, and we're talking, when I say transactions here, is all property types, all property types transactions in Kuala Lumpur. For 12 months as of July 2020 was about 6,000 transactions. Now if you look from here in this chart, right, the guy which is going to be the biggest, as you mentioned just now, which I showed just now, was about 13% market share, which is Cheras. Now that translates to about 846 transactions in Cheras alone. Now moving on the second and third locations, you see places like Stapa and KL City Centre, Old Klang Road and so on, right up to, like, if you look at where Wangsa Maju is, Wangsa Maju represents about 4% of transactions in Kuala Lumpur, which is about 270 transactions. In fact, if you just go right up to Sentul, right, which is just after Wangsa Maju, just these 6 to 7 areas, when you combine that market share, already represents about 50% of the market share of transactions in Kuala Lumpur. So you can imagine how big these 6 to 7 areas are, because they already represent half of where people are buying in Kuala Lumpur today. Now the next question a lot of people actually ask, in the sense of, okay, I know where people are buying, but wherever I'm buying, would there be any appreciation when it comes to pricing? So let's take a look at the capital growth in Kuala Lumpur. So before we go into the capital growth, a lot of people also ask, in the sense of, like, if Wangsa Maju is where people are buying, is it good for owner-occupied, or is it also good for investors? So before I go into capital growth, let's talk about investors. So when it comes to investors, or in a sense landlords, right, one of the questions they always ask is there enough tenant pool in an area for me to justify my investment in that area? So iProperty recently has launched the portal demand analytics for rental demand, and again recently we just launched the 2020 rental demand analytics. So rental demand analytics, what it does is it uses our data, iProperty's data, in the sense of user visits and listings. Now if you look at this demand, right, demand which we consider as unique views, and this is the top 10 of the most unique visits in iProperty in an area for 2020. And you can see Wangsa Maju is in that top 10 list, along with KL City Centre, Cheras, Bukit Jalil, which are the usual suspects. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are actually looking for properties to rent in Wangsa Maju. But at the same time, as an investor, you must also be aware of the number of people who are also being landlords, or the availability of listings being tenanted out. So if you look at the top 10 of total listing supply in Kuala Lumpur in iproperty.com.my, you will see that Wangsa Maju is also in the top 10 list. So they are actually in number 9 along, and you can see they're kind of similar. You can see KL City Centre is there, Mont Kiara is there. Now what I want you to take notice is the most important element to a landlord is that you've got to ensure that an area has got a lot more visits than there are a lot more listings. So if you can see from here, the position of Wangsa Maju in the unique views is higher than the position in listings, which puts Wangsa Maju in a better place than some of the other areas, because what this indicates is there are a lot more tenants than there are landlords. So to calculate the most in-demand area, what we do a simple divide, right? We just do the total visits to every listing in a specific area to come out with a number which is the most visits to a listing. The higher the number, the more in demand is that particular area. And what we'll produce is a new top 10 list, a top 10 of most in demand. And here you can see the most in demand, Wangsa Maju now positions themselves as number 3 in Kuala Lumpur itself, just third to Taman Tun Dr. Ismail and Damansara Heights. So they are pretty good position when it comes to rental demand and the most demand. So for landlords, I would say the answer to the question, are there tenants or enough tenants in Wangsa Maju for me if I were to buy this product as an investment? As you can see from the data, the answer is yes. There are a lot more tenants than there are landlords. The other indicator which we always look at is also the growth of this demand. So the growth of the demand and the year-on-year demand, you want to see areas which are growing in demand itself. So this is the last table which talks about the areas which are growing. Now in here, you don't see Wangsa Maju in the top 10 list. So, but you do see other areas like, if, for example, Mont Kiara, even though they are not in the top 10 or the most in demand, they are the fastest growing. What does this growth mean? That means there are a lot more tenants coming in than there are listings. So places like Mont Kiara, Dutamas, Old Klang Road, right? These are the areas which kind of like, you know, they're always places where people are looking for to actually rent. Why? You know, location, you know, convenience, you know, connectivity, all those reasons. So, is this an investment grade? In a sense, is it a good product? I would say yes. Tenants are there and the pool is actually there. Now, also for an investor or for a home buyer, first time or, you know, multiple, another big question they always ask is appreciation, price appreciation, price appreciation. So let's look at Kuala Lumpur's capital growth in that period which we are analyzing by areas. So from here you can see the period which we went through last year. So last year was, you know, it's a very unique year, you know, with the pandemic and all that. So with that in line, you know, and especially for Kuala Lumpur, you know, it's an economic hub, it's a financial sector, it's a financial hub, you know, so they do get affected. You know, job employment is pretty, unemployment is pretty high now. In relation to that, you can see overall Kuala Lumpur has had a drop of 3.7% when it comes to capital growth. But not all areas face this drop. If you look at this chart, right, you can see actually there are 7 to 8 areas which actually showed a positive growth. And with Salak South leading, you know, in the sense of amidst the pandemic and the overall drop in the state of 3.7%, places like Salak South was still able to have a strong growth of 16%. I mean, they're the only area which had actually a double-digit growth. Now, where is Wangsa Maju in here? Now, Wangsa Maju, and before that, and you got places like for example, Kuchai Lama, which has got a drop of nearly 15%. So you can see the extremes of these areas, you know, where, you know, you can see some double-digit growth and some areas which are double-digit decline. Now, where is Wangsa Maju in this? You can see Wangsa Maju held on, you know, they barely held on at about 0.7% growth. So again, I'd like to remind you all, in a period of where we are going through right now, to actually have any form of positive growth is actually still amazing, you know. So places like Desa Park City, Dutamas, Wangsa Maju and Pantai and all that, they all managed to hold on in this particular area. And we'll be speaking more about capital growth and the benefit of having a positive growth in a period like this and how we can help during our Q&A session. So this comes to the overall properties and all types of properties in Kuala Lumpur when it comes to transactions and capital growth. Now, let's zoom into condominiums. So the pricings of condominiums. So another big question a lot of buyers like to ask all the time is like, am I going to be overpaying for my product or for my property? I would like to have some comparison on how much am I paying versus what others are actually paying. So based on that, let's look at the median pricing of condominiums in Kuala Lumpur. And we're going to break it down by area. So these are all the areas again in Kuala Lumpur, and you can see the median pricing for Kuala Lumpur when it comes to condo is about 460 ringgit, right? 460 ringgit. Now in the little dotted line, you can see that's where the median is, and you can see all those areas which are above that line are basically higher than the state median price. Every area which is below the line is priced below the state median price. So starting on the table, you can see from the beginning, right, at the top of the league is Desa Park City. So Desa Park City condominiums are priced at about 865 ringgit per square feet. Now this is, again, please, I'd like to remind everyone, this is the median price. It does not mean it is the most expensive area in Kuala Lumpur. It's just that generally people are paying 865 ringgit in an area like Desa Park City. And following that, you can see they got KL Central and Bangsas and the Mont Kiaras, and of course Bukit Tunku, Sri Hatamas finishing up the top 5 for the most expensive when it comes to condominiums. Yeah. Now at the other end of the spectrum, you will see places like Kuchai Lama, which is about 344 ringgit per square feet. So these are kind of, so from the moment you can see from Desa Park City all the way right up to Taman Desa, right? You can see they're generally either at the par or above the state median pricing, and then from Kepong onwards right up to Kuchai Lama, you will see that they are priced below the estate median pricing itself. So where is Wangsa Maju in all this? You can see Wangsa Maju is priced below the state median pricing at about 300, nearly 400 ringgit per square feet. So Wangsa Maju generally is having about, they are priced lower than every other area in Kuala Lumpur itself. So that's something interesting for you all to. So if you're going to buy into a place like Wangsa Maju, do keep that in note, So because there is a potential for capital growth, especially when areas which are below the state pricing itself. So that's for median pricing. Now let's zoom into Klang Valley, into those specific areas which gives you the rough idea. Now we'll start off with the central. So in the central, we have got the KL city centers, we've got the Bangsas, the Mon Kiara. So KL city center is priced at about 600 ringgit. Now, of course, a lot of people will say, KL city center, where you got 600 ringgit per square feet, they're all 1,000 over, per ringgit per square feet. Now, do note there are varieties of condominiums in KL city center. We know there are the 2,000 ringgit and sometimes now reaching even 2,500 ringgit per square feet condominiums there, but they are generally when it comes to transactions, there are not many which are priced at that price. So 590 ringgit basically tells you most of the people are paying 590 ringgit. It could be 20-year-old condominiums, we don't know, right? So that's generally the median pricing. Now, if you can see Mon Kiara, price, it has got a bit more premium itself. Again, it depends on the products, right? So if every product is a premium, it's going to bring up the median price itself. For example, Desa Park City. So if you look at Desa Park City, if every product is premium, the median pricing for that is going to be 865. It's going to be higher than all those areas in there. Whereas Bangsas are at about 700 ringgit. Now, if you just go slightly outskirts from the KL city center, right, you will start to see the 400 ringgits per square feet starting to appear. And you can see Wangsa Maju is in there at about 390 ringgit. But you got places like Kepong at 428 and PJ. PJ, as you know, there's a variety of products in PJ itself. So they are kind of like the median of 438 ringgit, while Cheras is priced at about 350 ringgit. Now, if you go even more, even further outskirts, you will see places like Sungai Buloh and Shah Alam, 300 ringgit starting to appear again, where Shah Alam is priced at about 350 ringgit. And Subang Jaya again, even though it's further from PJ, the price variance is not too much, because I think it again depends on connectivity and the products itself which you have in there, So you can, based on this, you have a rough idea of, you're starting right, from about 600 to 700 to 600 ringgit, and then if you move away from the city as you're going further away, right, and you can see the price dropping from that point onwards. Now, let's zoom into Wangsa Maju. So if you look at Wangsa Maju, right, so this is the project which we are talking about today is called Quinn. So Quinn by MCL. So here is just going to give you a rough idea of the median pricing of condominiums in Wangsa Maju area. Now Quinn, by the way, I'm focusing basically on the sizes about 1,000 square feet. So even though the products have got a lot more, there's a lot more products out there, I'm going to focus on the 1,000 square feet and compare the 1,000 square feet in the radius so that we can kind of like an apple-to-apple comparison when it comes to price analysis. So the Queen, which we're talking about here, is about 950 to 1,223 square feet. And they're priced starting from about 700,000 ringgit, which puts it at about 740 ringgit per square feet. So again, here when it comes to pricing, right, I mean, if you remember, Wangsa Maju median price was about 400 ringgit per square feet, right? And Queen is priced at 740 ringgit per square feet. So when it comes to the pricing, it is definitely priced at the premium for an area like Wangsa Maju. The question, of course, we need to ask is like, what is it that I'm paying for that's setting it up as a premium? So these are some of the questions which we actually asked the developer. We actually asked MCL, and so please stay tuned for our Q&A session where MCL will be answering some of these burning questions on why is it price premium, what is the value, and so on and so forth. Now, other than that, we have also placed some of the comparisons of the areas of the condominiums in Wangsa Maju. Now, please again bear in mind, these are sub-sale projects. Now, there are new projects out there in Wangsa Maju probably, which we are not putting into the comparison because we don't have the data or the transacted data, official transacted data for primary market. So I'm going to compare a subsale just to give you a rough idea. So you can see Desa Putra, which is very, very close to Quinn. Now they are of course, when it comes to Desa Putra, the age, I'm sure they are, for some of you who know Desa Putra is an old project and all that, they are priced at about 440 ringgit per square feet. So you're going to get a 1,300 square feet unit for about 570,000 ringgit. But again, as you know, new launches and primary market, the features are different, the facilities are different, the concepts are different. So please do find out why is what is different about Quinn, and why is it priced very a bit more premium compared to Desa Putra. I also found out that that Quinn is actually located just 50 meters away from the LRT station, and they have a connected bridge to the Wangsa Mall itself. So I guess these are some of those elements which later MCL will be talking about. Now you can see there are also other projects around those areas, places like, if you look up and higher a bit, you can see, Menara Alpha there at about 1,200 square feet, about 340,000 ringgit median pricing. So again, please do the due diligence and go and look at those projects and find out, if it's cheap, it doesn't mean it's good, right? If it's expensive, it doesn't mean it's bad, So please do check out places like Menara Alpha and Wangsa Metro View on those pricings and why is it, in a lower price. Again, if you go down, you can see there are two places. One is Villa Wangsa Mas at about 1,300 square feet. Again, it's about 476,000 ringgit. And then last but not least, we have got Rihanna Green East, which is about 500,000 ringgit per square feet. So, and they're all generally about 1,000 square feet in size. So I hope this gives you kind of like a rough idea of pricing so when I brought you all through from Kuala Lumpur, and then we spoke about all the specific areas in Kuala Lumpur itself, and how much you'll be paying for every single area when it becomes the median price, and finally ending it with median pricing in Wangsa Maju itself to give you a rough idea. So when it comes to a project, it's not just about price, right? It's also about value. What is it that I'm paying for? And so do stay in tune for this. I'll be sitting in as well, to kind of like lend in some of those answers to some of those questions. So thank you for spending the time with us today, and I'll catch you at the Q&A shortly. Back to you, Freda. Thanks.
Thank you, Prem, for that great sharing. I believe every one of you have Kuala Lumpur. Is it 1, 4, 2, 11, 3, 7, 4, 9? If you've been paying attention to Prem, you will know the answer. The second question is, what is the median price of condominiums in Wangsa Maju? Is it 1, 460,000, 2, 560,000, 3, 660,000, or 4, 760,000? The third question is, what was the compounded annual growth for Wangsa Maju? Is it 1, 1%, 2, 0%, 3, -10%, or 4, 5%? You should have your answer on your fingertips. There's one more trivia game later, so make sure you stay until the end, and we will ask you questions relating to the Q&A later. And for those of you who have just tuned in, welcome to iProperty Data Talks, your burning questions answered. This Facebook live series will air on iProperty's FB page, so remember to like and follow iProperty's Facebook page and select to receive notifications from us so you won't miss any episode when we go live. You've heard the pricing trends analysis of Wangsa Maju shared by our GM of Data Services, Mr. Prem Padmanathan, earlier. Now it's time to ask the developer some burning questions about properties in Wangsa Maju. In tonight's episode, we collaborated with MCL Land, a leading Singapore property developer that is wholly owned by Hong Kong Land, to talk about their Quinn at Wangsa Maju. We have with us Mr. Tan Ching Ming, General Manager, MCL Land Malaysia. and Mr. Edmund Lau, General Manager of Project Planning and Development, MCL Land Malaysia, and of course, here with us again, Prem Pavanathan, General Manager of Customer Data Solutions from iProperty, property pricing data specialist, to share some pricing insights about Quinn at Wangsa Maju. So a little bit about Quinn at Wangsa Maju. It is located in the heart of Wangsa Maju. Quinn is a new choice property of city lifestyle within the residential sanctuary of Wangsa Maju, a mere 8 kilometers from KLCC. It is developed by MCL Land, a leading Singapore-based property developer and member of Hong Kong Land. So we'll start. We'll need to find out a little bit about MCL Land. So do tell us who is MCL and what kind of property developer you are, and what's the vision, Mr. Tan?
We as a company has been a developer of this Wangsa Maju township for the last 40 years. And initially it was to create a self-contained township. And with the coming of our parent company, who are very good at developing high-end condominiums and dwelling residences in Hong Kong and Singapore, they are bringing a new experience, infusing it into this township for a demand that has not been met. They have been with us as a parent 50%, first of all 50%, and then 100% for the last 15 years. And they bring along with them an international experience and quality. And rest assured that buyers of such properties with their experience will stand to gain.
And MCL Land has a long history, working with other partners as well. And you've actually developed a lot of projects within Malaysia, and of course with MCL Land in Singapore, developed projects overseas as well, right?
Yes. And some of our projects worth mentioning are like Sri Rena and Wangsa Walk Mall, which is very popular lifestyle mall. And of course, not to forget the shops which investors bought in, and they make 3 times.
Maybe I could also add that MCL Land is actually part of a much bigger group of Hong Kong Land. It's headquartered off Singapore, and we have developments in the region, which includes Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, and in Indonesia itself.
Right. So about, I think, close to 10 countries.
Yes, in and around the region. In Asia, Hong Kong Land has basically 2 parts. One is concentrated on China, and the rest concentrates on the rest of Asia. The rest of Asia.
Right. Okay. Prem, you've shared property pricing trends on Wangsa Maju just now, right? What do you think of Wangsa Maju as an area? Is it worth buying a property in Wangsa Maju?
Sure. So, I'm sure the audience just now saw the charts which I presented. It's basically all in KL, and everything I'm going to share now, it's basically on data, right? It's not my personal opinion and all that. So if you look at Kuala Lumpur, right, they're always going to have that big areas, like KL City Centres, Cheras, Mont Kiara, and they're always going to be big in the sense of, in the sense of iProperty's data, most visited, most listings and all that. So Wangsa Maju is interestingly in the top 10 of this list. Now, this is behind a total area of nearly 30 over areas in Kuala Lumpur. So being in the top 10 is not that easy to be in Kuala Lumpur as well. But at the same time, they also are in the top 10 of the most listings. Right. So we're talking about supply and demand, they're quite balanced out there. So the question a lot of people ask is like, are people actually buying then? If there's a lot of supply, fantastic. There's a lot of visits, fantastic. But are people actually buying? For this, we go into transacted data, which is the official data from the valuation department. And when it comes to the top 10 or the most transacted in Kuala Lumpur, Wangsa Maju is ranked number 7. So that gives you an indication that people are buying in Wangsa Maju. So again, as I mentioned, to be in top 10 in KL, not that easy, because KL is purely urbanized, in, like for example in Selangor and all that, you can say PJ, it's a lot more transactions than Kuala Selangor, because it's more urbanized than Kuala Selangor, but KL, the whole place is urbanized, right? So to be in the top 10 is a bit more of a challenge. And in the sense of, does it have all those elements of what an area should have? Wangsa Maju, first of all, I think we don't have to mention the distance to KL City Centre, it's generally, a stone throw away. It also comes with all those necessary elements like the universities, the education, the international schools. It comes with all the malls. Everyone needs malls, right? Like say Wangsa Walk, as I mentioned, Tesco, Aeon. It comes, of course, the big burning question is connectivity. So in KL, connectivity is important because people don't want to drive anymore. Reduce carbon emissions. So the LRT stations are there. I think there's a few highways as well, the Dukes, so on and so forth. So overall, I think Wangsa Maju has got all the necessary factors which makes it a good place to kind of like buy into.
Okay, Mr. Tan, why Wangsa Maju? What's so unique about this area that attracted you to develop a high-rise residential property here?
First of all, we are undergoing a very strong re-rating of this area. We used to be quite unknown 30-40 years ago because of lack of connectivity. But since about 15 years ago, we have the LRT line, we have Duke, we have Wangsa Walk, and we have international school right at our doorstep. And there is a further re-rating with the construction of more highways. Duke 3 is coming through us, and they will be connected to Suki as well as EKVE.
And you yourself live in this area?
Yes, I'm a testimony of how successful this township is. I live here, I work here, and I play here. And my kid gets up at 7 o'clock and goes to school in time, 7:15.
Okay, that close. All right. Prem, let's talk about the project, right? Perhaps you can share Quinn's price proposition to the market, and does the project appeal to own occupiers or investors?
Yeah, sure. So, again, I did share some data about price points in Kuala Lumpur. So, I'll start off at the state level. So, state level, and I'm also going to zero into the sizes which are about 1,000 square feet, in KL. So, in KL, the median pricing is spec'd around 560,000 ringgit for generally all types of properties, which is at about 450 ringgit per square feet, gives you about 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. You can also go to the higher range of about 960,000 ringgit per for every unit in here. Then when we zoom into Wangsa Maju, the median pricing is about 500,000 right up to about 750,000 ringgit. At about 400 ringgit per square feet, it gives you about 1,000 square feet. So if you look at Quinn, so Quinn starts off at about 417,000 ringgit and has gone right up to about 790,000 ringgit. I would say the median is about 720,000, and the per square feet is about 740 ringgit. So if you're looking at a comparison, it is a bit more premiumly priced in Wangsa Maju area itself. And if you compare on the sub-sale products around this area, which are generally about 300 ringgit to 450 ringgit per square feet, it is priced higher. But there are many reasons for this, which I hope later on, Mr. Tan and Edmund will give some detailed insights into why this premium pricing. But a few factors are things at looking at things like age of buildings, the facilities which comes with it, and the features which comes with it and all that. And this is the new building, right? So there's a lot more new features to that. It'll be interesting to know more about this. And of course, there's another factor we all have to remember, that this is pegged as a transit-oriented development, or TOD. So whenever I compare TODs, right, we can't compare apple to apple. There are not many projects which can call themselves as TOD. Some will say it's TOD, but then later you find out the LRT station is like 1 kilometer away, or something like that. So here, I think my understanding is the LRT station is about 50 meters away, right, and it's covered. So it's true to its name in the sense of a transit-oriented development. So that gives it a very different gameplay to where Quinn is today. And when it comes to whether to buy as an owner-occupied or investor, owner-occupied purchases, as we all know, everybody buys where they live. And I think Mr. Tan mentioned, this place, there are a lot of heritage to it. People have been staying for many years, and they love Wangsa Maju. Yes, they will buy it. It has all the all the elements for it. But when it comes to investors, of course, in their mind is rental, and rental income and tenancy. I don't want my units to be there for 6 months without any tenancy. Here I will share some data as well. So when it comes to most visited for rental listings in Kuala Lumpur, based on iProperty's data, Wangsa Maju is ranked number 7 again. So they like number 7, So they're ranked number 7 as most visited when it comes to rental listings. But we also have another indicator which is called the demand indicator. So recently we launched the Portal Demand Analytics Report, which talks about the visits to a listing. So the more visits there are to a listing, the more demand there is to an area. So the highest visits to a listing will rank it as the highest, And Wangsa Maju ranked in the last report, which was 2020 analysis, Wangsa Maju was ranked number 3 in Kuala Lumpur as most in demand. This means there are a lot more tenants out there than there are landlords. So they're only number 3 behind Taman Tun, Dr. Ismail, and Taman Sarah Heights. Very affluent names, right? But they are number 3 behind these guys. So they are ranked. So in the sense of demand for tenants, they are there. The tenants are actually there. And when it comes to rental yield, the rental yield based on asking rent in iProperty, we can do an analysis on that. The median for Wangsa Maju is about 4.2%, but this is across all property types, not just condos or service residence, everything. So the question people ask is 4.2 good? 4.2. So again, we need to do a comparison overall KL. So KL, the median is about 4%. So 4.2% it puts Wangsa Maju higher than the overall state number itself, and the median rent is about 1,007 to 2,000 ringgit. So this is where people are. I guess when it comes to affordability, a lot of this, most of the tenants are paying around this amount. So I would say, in the sense of as an investor, I would say getting a tenant would be something which I don't think will be an issue in Wangsa Maju. Rental yield, the thing is, if you want higher, my question is where? Because KL overall is already 4%, so if you're going to get higher than that, I'm also curious, where is this?
Okay, so interesting. You said transit-oriented development, and of course the LRT is there, is right next to it, and then more tenants than landlords, right? That's a good thing. Anything to add to that, gentlemen?
Now, to address your concerns about the disparity between the prices of the old properties and the new, I think we cannot compare the old and the new. They are catering to different generations, and the designs are different, the quality is different. So it's just like you're comparing Countryman car, which is small, and in the old days Volvo 144, right? You can't do that. So as a mark of confidence or assurance, we have brought in Edmund from overseas to ensure that Hong Kong land standards are maintained, the quality and the design. And he will elaborate further on what are the things that we put inside Quinn to make it so much value proposition to the investors.
All right, which is a good transition to my next question to Edmund, right? What sets Quinn apart from other residential projects here in Wangsa Maju?
Quinn is actually a very modern design, and we've brought in international architects and designers for the project to basically develop a very lovely, comfortable living, lifestyle living for the buyers. We've got a lot of facilities in the development. The moment you enter the entrance, you've got a huge, large drop-off, and that brings you to a cascading water feature in the front that leads to a kids' playground. And as you go up, right up to the E-deck level, you have a 50-meter pool, together with the alfresco dining. You can actually have whole parties for guests and things like that. And there's a kids' pool, barbecue pit areas, and it brings you up further to the rooftop. Okay, we've got a sky deck. So at the sky deck, we've got a roof sky gym, basically, that overlooks KL City. And basically, as you're exercising on the treadmill or on the bicycle, you can actually see the full view of the city. And Besides that, we've got meeting rooms, we've got co-working spaces in there. If you need a place to work during a pandemic, hopefully this doesn't go long. And you can also work in the library, you can have quiet areas and meetings with your friends and families if needed. So overall, basically, Quinn provides for a lifestyle living. We provide you with a semi-fitted units where the kitchen is fully fitted. We've got a signature kitchen providing our built-in kitchen for us that comes together with a hob and hood, and basically areas that will the rooms, the toilets are going to be fitted with quality tiles, quality finishing.
And it is fairly low density as well.
Yes, we've got 361 units over 1.68 acres.
But there's lots of space in the 50-meter pool anyway.
Yes, you can swim as long as you want.
So what are the layout types available in Quinn?
Okay, the smallest one we have is a 1+1 bedroom. Okay, it ranges about 550 square meters to about 600 square meters. To the largest, we have 4-bedroom units, which is about 1,070 square foot. Sorry, not square meters. And basically, we have also have 2+1 bedrooms, 3-bedroom units in there, right? The +1 is actually a study, which basically provides us with the current situation where people want to work from home, that they can actually have a proper study there, that they can have home meetings, Zoom meetings, and things like that. Right?
And it's what's unique was that it's actually removable should you choose to have a larger living area.
Yes, right. Those studies, if you want it bigger, or you can actually knock off the wall. We make sure that it's not a structural wall, so that you can actually enlarge your living area or your dining area, so that if you want more space, you do not want to study, especially if you're a young family, right? There's only 2 of you, you want a bigger space, or if you have children, then that areas you might need it.
And what's the profile of buyers at the moment?
The buyers here are basically, a lot of them are from around Wangsa Maju area and its surrounding areas like Star Park and all. Because people who live here, they always want to continue to live there. They use the area. Wangsa Maju is actually a matured township. We've got a lot of amenities over here. We've got Wangsa Walk, which we developed. We've got a lot of accessible, a lot of highways here. We've got the Duke Highway running through. We've got the LRT station, which is within walking distance. The roads here are very wide. You do not get any traffic jams in Wangsa Maju. Whether you want to go from here to Star Park to Melawati to all these areas are jam free.
Right. So I guess, like as you were saying, that this is a more mature township, so it's very intergenerational. The people that
correct, and people are buying
that. A lot of parents are buying for their children to stay nearby them.
Right. So they can take care of the grandchildren.
Yes, and vice versa.
So people have extended families in houses. Now they have extended families in condominiums too, because they buy multiple units in there.
Right. Okay, now looks like Quinn offers exclusive living with true convenience. How much is the maintenance fee?
The maintenance fee is actually now a lot, because considering that we are providing a lot of facilities for you all, for the buyers, and basically it pays for all the facilities, the pools, the cascadings, and together with the sinking fund, and we manage the properties, and basically the gyms and the sort of the fresco lounges and things like that.
Right. There's a gourmet pavilion.
That's right.
Because it's important for us.
Yeah.
Food.
Food. You want to eat,
yes.
You bring in the caterers, you can have the place.
Right. Prem, given that Wangsa Maju is a mature area, right, what do you think of the price appreciation for the area given the land scarcity?
Sure. So, when we speak about scarcity, right, and density and all that, so one of the indicators to tell you how dense it is the types of properties which is on it. So I did analysis on this. 70% of property transactions in Wangsa Maju is high-rise, the condos, the service residences, the apartments and all that. And terrace houses represents only about 14%. So this is very different if you're going outskirts, like PJ, Subang, Klang and all that. Majority, 50%. In fact, Malaysia, 50% of people buy terrace houses, right? So landed. So this gives you an indication there's not much land in areas like Wangsa Maju. So that's why high-rises are a bit more popular. Now we're talking about capital appreciation or pricing. The last 1 year, I think we all know what happened in the last 1 year. So it was no surprise that KL showed a drop in pricing overall for all property types, and the drop was about 3.7%. Now, what is interesting is that amongst this pandemic and this drop and all that, right, Wangsa Maju actually held strong. They held strong with a slight modest growth of 0.7%, and generally there are only 8 areas in KL. I mean, I mentioned KL has about 30 over areas. There was only 8 areas in KL which showed some form of positive growth, and Wangsa Maju was one of it. But just talking about the last 1 year is not fair to speak about the area. So I'll just share with you on the compounded annual growth. In the last 6 years, for Kuala Lumpur, it stood about 4%. And I think we all know that also that the last 6 years, the market, was flooded with this overhang issues. And we had a peak, in 2014, and 13. After that, it started to slow down a bit. So did capital growth. But again, we want to see where was Wangsa Maju in this, right? So overall, KL was 4%. Wangsa Maju's compounded annual growth was 5%. So if you look at this, right, the last 1 year and the last 6 years, Wangsa Maju has always been a step ahead of overall KL. 3.7% drop, 0.7 increase, 4% capital growth, 5% capital growth. So the big question is is this a good opportunity for me to buy, in the sense of appreciation? So we all know today, if in the property market, we always speak through this property clock. And where are we? 12 o'clock is the peak and 6 o'clock is the bottom. So I think I've shared this many times in different avenues, and clearly the data points that we are at the bottom of the clock, which is 6 o'clock. So from that point onwards, there's only one way forward, which is upwards, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock and all that. And one of the indicators is price starting to decline, and you can already start to see that. So if in the next year or 2 years or 3 years, right, if the market is starting to shift, the question is, where are you in a sense in relation to everyone else? So today Wangsa Maju is not showing any signs of decline. They're still, even how bad it is, even with pandemic, even with MCO, right, they're still basically holding on at 0.7% increase, right? So when the market starts to shift, and being in a place where it is already showing positive growth, it basically gives you a head start from everyone else. Now imagine there are places which has got a decline of 15%, 20% and all that. Now if you're starting there, it takes a longer journey. You first need to come back to no capital growth and then some appreciation. But today Wangsa Maju has already that appreciation, so they're going to move a bit faster than everyone else in respect to KL areas. So to answer your question, I think buying in Wangsa Maju in the sense of KL, I think it's a pretty good decision in the sense of where the data is pointing towards too.
So for those who are interested to buy a unit or two, any promotions for buyers at the moment?
Yeah, we just started a promotion where you can actually, for 1,000 ringgit, you can start to choose the unit that you require. We've got units that are still available. You can always come to our lovely show gallery here in Wangsa Maju, which is just adjacent to the Wangsa Walk Mall, and we've got show units where you can see what we can do with the apartments. We got 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units here, and we have got mystery giveaways. We've got some vouchers to give away as a gifts for those who booked. So hopefully we get people to come and visit us. You're more than welcome to do make an appointment to come by.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tan, Edmund, Prem. Do visit the sales gallery. It is really, really nice. So I'm sure this session has given a lot of insight to potential buyers in Wangsa Maju. So stay tuned as we'll be giving away some prizes for those of you who paid attention. Stay tuned. And that was a wonderful sharing session. I'm sure all of us have benefited from their sharing just now. So now comes the time everyone's been waiting for, a trivia game, and here's how to win the prizes. Let's have a look at the questions now. The first question is, who are the potential buyers of Quinn? Is it 1, investors looking for rental yield? Is it 2, young families? Is it 3, working professionals? Or 4, all of the above? Our second question is, how many levels of facilities are there in Quinn? Is it 1, 2, 2, 3, or 4, 4? Our final question is, Quinn is connected to which LRT station and how far? Is it 1, Sri Rampai LRT 100 meters, Sri Rampai LRT 500 meters, Wangsa Maju LRT 100 meters, or 4, Wangsa Maju LRT 200 meters? It's very close. Thank you everyone for watching iProperty Data Talks today. We will see you again where we'll share insights on properties, pricing trends in other areas, and discuss more about upcoming projects there. So make sure to like and follow iProperty's Facebook page and select to receive notification from us so you won't miss any episode when we go live. Have a good night.